Warren Buffett bought airline stocks when he vowed he would never. Is Bitcoin or Ethereum next? And what will his cosign mean to institutional money? Okay. First of all, I love Warren Buffett. I think he's a great investor. But if you look at his investment thesis, I don't think he'll ever buy Bitcoin. Okay. Now that's not to say his. I mean, yeah, I don't think he'll ever buy a Bitcoin because he's a value investor. He's not really a speculator. When he buys something, he buys for 10 years, and he's heavily invested in so many banks, right? He owns Bank of America and lots of other banks. And the fact that he never bought Amazon, never bought Google, and never bought these high growth tech companies, it goes against all logic and his entire philosophy to buy even more speculative assets like cryptocurrencies. Because if he didn't invest in speculative growth stocks, right, he's a value investor. He buys when something is extremely undervalued and the PE ratio is very low, right? He didn't buy stocks that had high PE ratios, high price to earnings multiples. Meaning that, for example, like the Googles, the Amazons of the world, he didn't buy those companies. But he did buy companies like Apple, for example, but the super high growth companies that had their price so high versus how much money they're actually making, right? He buys stable companies that have steady cash flows, good balance sheets. Like Apple has a huge balance sheet. They have so much money in the bank, right? Like they could buy like Tesla if they wanted to, I believe. So for him to really go against that grain and go all in on crypto, I don't see that happening. I think he would buy Google. He would buy the Ubers of the world, for example, right? The Lyfts of the world. Those early stage, those new companies that are really being priced for future growth potential. Who'd buy those before buying anything crypto related, right? Before buying Bitcoin. So I don't think he was going to buy Bitcoin before buying those companies. And I don't see him buying those companies because that would mean he's completely tossed his entire philosophy of value investing out the window and become a speculator. And that's not really going to happen, right? So, going back to your question, right? What will this cosign mean for institutional money? Okay, so let's say maybe okay, let's kind of play the opposite, right? Let's say he does, for some reason, buy Bitcoin, buy crypto. It would be a huge cosign. Huge cosign. It will be...
Shut up and take my money! Shut up and take my money!
Like, people will be racing to buy more crypto and Bitcoin. It'll be a huge endorsement. But I think the goal should not be to wait for that endorsement. The goal should be for us to be in already. So if endorsements like that ever do come, because they are coming, not from the Warren Buffetts of the world, but from other large institutional investors. But I think we're still far out from that happening because institutional investors need regulation and compliance. And right now, those platforms and that infrastructure is still not there yet. Yes, we have improved in the last 2 years, but we're still not there yet. And I think it's going to take a while for that to happen. So, we can't be waiting for their cosign. We co-sign ourselves, right? That's kind of the attitude. We co-sign ourselves because that's what it takes to be, ironically, a value investor. You don't listen to Mr. Market, as they say in the book, right? You come to your own conclusions and your own analysis, and you stick by it. And for us, we've done our analysis on Bitcoin and crypto. We think it's probably going to do well in the future, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here every day, Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, doing these live streams. And we're in it. We're in this for the long haul. And whenever those cosigns do come, it will be great because when those cosigns come, it will be time for us to take some profits because the price will go up. And as we said earlier, you buy from pessimists and sell to optimists. You buy the dip in a bear market and you take profits in a bull market. And when those institutional investors do come in and co-sign, it will bring in a bull market. So it will be time for us to take some profits, take out at least minimum our initial investment, cash out, diversify into other asset classes, maybe go on a vacation, go on a vacation on the moon and beyond, right? I think that's really the strategy to have when those cosigns do eventually come, because they are coming. Now, we can't predict who exactly will cosign, I don't think it will be Buffett. It will be other large institutional investors. But when the cosigns do come, it's time to cash out. Not fully cash out, but take some money off the table, because you don't want to be left holding a bag when it pumps and dumps.